Today's topic is: which wow skill is secretly super easy to learn? While at my desk job, I wasn't allowed to have my phone, so I started learning origami instead. I got maybe 20 hours of origami practice a week and even used the works computer paper for it. I've had several girlfriends I've met just by casually turning a piece of scrap paper into a flower at meetings. For me it was lock picking. Was always impressed by it, and then I learned it and realized how really insecure most padlocks are. Magic. Especially card tricks. The hard part is entertaining people enough so they don't look at the setup. Learning the sky. Both day and night. Anywhere on Earth, day or night, using the sky, I know the cardinal directions. I know most constellations. I know what most of the fuzzy patches visible to the naked eye are in the night sky and can explain them to people. I can give a basic weather forecast by looking at cloud types as certain clouds are formed by certain effects. This is not a difficult skill. I learned how to make basic balloon animals and swords in a few hours, and now all the kids at family parties love me. Basic clothes mending and altering. You don't even need a sewing machine for a lot of it. In the same vein, basic electronics repair, very often it's just a wobbly solder joint. Splitting an apple in half with your bare hands. Microsoft Excel. In a few hours you should be able to learn the basics of pivot tables and XLOOKUP, which normally lands you the title of Office Excel Guru. Building Excel workbooks. You can learn pretty impressive and useful workbook skills in an afternoon of YouTube videos. I'm always surprised how many people just use Excel to make lists or tables but don't actually utilize basic features to do anything with those lists or tables. Mental math. I'm not talking Einstein-level formulas flying through your head like that meme. I mean if someone says something like, "Hey, what's 11x 34?" and you rattle off 374 without pulling out your calculator, they think you're a demigod or something. But there's just lots of simple tricks, and once you learn the tricks, it's cake. Cooking fancy-looking meals. I used to think restaurant-quality dishes required culinary school, but nope. A decent knife, some garlic, and knowing when to add salt makes you look like a total chef. My boyfriend still thinks I'm this amazing cook because I can make risotto, but it's literally just stirring rice and adding stock slowly. Spinning yarn and crochet. The basics are pretty easy and you get better fast with practice, plus, stuff that looks really complex is usually just the basics in various fancy configurations. Building a computer. You can do it in a day with a YouTube video. Blows people's minds who don't know how simple it is. Speed reading. Everyone thinks you're some kind of superhuman when you can flip through pages quickly, but it's mostly just training your eyes to stop saying every word in your head. Took me about a month to get decent at it. Moonwalking. I learned it when my kids were really young, just to make them laugh. It's all just a rhythm of the feet, you can get it down in an hour or so. I like to do it randomly when I leave a room. Touch typing. Not the easiest of them all, but very well perceived by others. Being able to look at someone whilst typing is a good way to impress them. Also, it makes your life much more efficient and writing something becomes a breeze. I could never tell how much of an improvement it would be until I learned it. I am not even that good at it, 60 WPM in my native language, but the improvement is huge. When you're a kid, how to solve a Rubik's Cube. is a pattern of like 7 different movements, and for some reason everyone thinks you're a prodigy for doing it. Hand lettering. To do it for real takes a decent amount of skill and practice, but you can fake it pretty well by writing the word out in cursive and then going back and thickening all your downstrokes. People are constantly telling me how beautiful my lettering is, but little do they know how easy it really is. Working on your car feels like it's become a wow skill, but it's super easy. I swear at this point any fix is on YouTube. I bought a car with some minor issues just so I could learn my way around a car better, and it's surprisingly easy to perform the minor fixes / maintenance, and surprisingly cheap relative to what mechanics quoted me for the same repair. Whistling with your fingers. Looks like black magic until you try it for 10 minutes and suddenly you're summoning taxis like a wizard. Learning how to make a chocolate lava cake. I wanted to impress my partner with a homemade anniversary dinner, so I looked up how to make chocolate lava cakes, their favorite, from scratch. Turns out it is surprisingly quick, simple, very few ingredients, and doesn't require much cooking skill. My partner was blown away, and now I have a fun dessert that I can whip up for our guests whenever I want to make an impression. How to build a fire properly. There are just a few things between, I can't get it going, and, wow, you're a wizard. Learn breath holding. The average person can't hold their breath for 1 minute. Download a few apnea app and I guarantee anyone can hold their breath for 3 minutes within a few weeks of training. No one's going to read this as I'm too late, but if you do. If you are approaching someone and want to avoid the dance where you both move side to side, physically orient your head and eyes to the way you want to go, and the other person will unconsciously go the opposite way. No awkward dance. Networking, going to events, looking at name tags, recognizing company names, go stand by that group of people waiting for an opportunity to join conversation, or most likely they will invite you in. Ask questions about the people and go from there, not hard. Doing a backflip on the ground is surprisingly easy if you're in somewhat good shape. Dancing. Easy, fun, and you get to meet people while you're learning. I'd recommend starting with swing, or salsa if that's your jam. And start with social dance, not ballroom. Ballroom is more precise, social is more relaxed. If you're self-conscious, like me, remember that everyone else is busy with their own self-consciousness. Hand sharpening knives. The trick is buying diamond sharpening blocks instead of the whetstones and just trying your best to keep the same angle. A set only costs $20 and is great to learn the basics. 5 minutes after trying it for the first time in my life, I was in the kitchen dicing every tomato I could find into little pieces because I just couldn't believe it how sharp my old kitchen knives could be after a couple of minutes of sharpening. Plugging a tire is faster and easier than putting on the spare. The blues scale on piano, memorize it and just hit the keys in any random order with any sort of tempo, and anyone with no knowledge of piano will think you're improvising an amazing blues line, which in essence you are. Congrats, you're now playing piano and never took a lesson. Meditation. 10 minutes a day for a few weeks/months and you will surely notice a lot of differences. Throw in 10 more minutes for some theory to deepen your understanding and you will feel like you've learned a superpower in no time. Drawing. It seriously only takes a couple of study days to be able to draw well enough to impress those who don't draw. That's why it is so confusing to me why people would instead ask a machine to do it. Unless you are physically disabled, drawing is super easy to learn. You don't even need to be creative to learn perspective or accuracy. Uncreative, unskilled people used to draw because cameras didn't exist. It was a daily thing. That's why we see those old journals from the 1700s have great drawings in them. No cameras around, better draw what I see or people won't believe me. Harp. If you're going to pick up a musical instrument, and you want to impress people quickly, go with harp. Unlike many instruments, it sounds good even from the very beginning, so you look better at it than you are. Ignoring your gag reflex. It's just about staying calm and not panicking. I used to be bulimic and could get that thing activated on a dime. Now I have to clean out my tonsils and have to regularly touch my throat. It comes in handy for other activities, of course. My boyfriend is always very, very impressed. Opening a bottle with a lighter. Used to think it was a cool bar trick. LOL, now I open all my Doritos this way. Wow, it is, but changing the oil in a vehicle is super easy. Only takes 20 minutes and will save you around $40 or more. If you can see magic eye pictures, attempt to learn how to manually cross your eyes. It makes side-by-side spot the difference games trivially easy, and makes you look incredibly impressive doing so without telling anyone the trick. Navigating through the MS Office file tree with keystrokes rather than the mouse. I didn't even realize it was a superpower until the day someone was watching over my shoulder as I navigated to a particular document and they said, "How are you doing this without the mouse?" Learn basic coding and script things that would take manual entry hours. Recently just forwarded 250 emails, each email needing a different address. One CSV, for loop in PowerShell, and I forwarded all those emails in about 2 minutes or so. Compared to doing it manually in the UI. Dyeing clothes. You can refresh things and change the color when the one you want isn't a current trend. I'm not good at it, but I've noticed that public speaking can greatly improve your role and pay at a company, and I just need to practice a little to get better at it. Like it feels, as long as you can talk about it to a large group, you don't have to be good at your job. Ahem, my district managers. Griffin roll, very impressive party trick and fun with just fidgeting, and you can practice it passively while watching TV or doing anything else where you have your hands free. Took me a couple of hours to learn the technique, but took a while longer to do it flawlessly. This might sound strange, but basic finances. Hear me out. It still amazes me how many even closest people I know are so oblivious when it comes to financial issues. When I had my issues with money, I decided to move the due date of every essential bills that I have, housing, electricity, food, etc., into the same day that I get my salary. This way I do not have to wonder all the month about what bills I have to pay and when. Every bill goes in the same day, and then it is easier to calculate how much I have left for the rest of the month. Simple but very effective. Juggling 3 balls isn't as difficult as it seems. It's not easy, but it also doesn't take weeks of practice to get down, and if you have children around, even doing so for a few seconds at a time can be insanely rewarding. Python scripting. I use it to automate mundane tasks, and now everyone thinks I'm a software developer. Being able to tell anyone the day of the week a date falls on. Very easy math trick that can be learned in an hour, but still impressive. I recommend Numberphile's tutorial for anyone who wants to learn. Geography. Maps, countries, flags, capitals, etc. Just play an online game of African capitals or Asian country flags for a couple hours, and you're going to seem like a geography wizard for most people. Repeat this 2-hour gaming session like once a year to upkeep this skill. Chess. It's a really good way to kill time, and for some reason people think only geniuses play it. You don't even have to be that good. You could be a total novice, but to someone that doesn't know how to play you'll seem smarter almost instantly. You can easily learn the moves and some basic strategies in an hour or two. Fake calligraphy, you just write some nice letters and then thicken the downstrokes. Painting a house. You don't have to pay thousands for someone else to do it. You need a brush and a roller. You don't even need tape. Setting up TVs and associated entertainment devices hooked to your TV. Nowadays it's easier than it ever was. You used to have to keep track of multiple cables for every device. Now it's one for one or none if it's Bluetooth. People who don't know still act like it's some kind of arcane right to plug in a console or an auxiliary hookup to your stereo. Knots. You'll be amazed at the number of, wow, stuff you can do with them, and how many times you can save the day by knowing how to do just knots. Being very observant and having great situational awareness. While some people are naturally better than others at this unless you have an untreated visual processing disorder, anyone can become really good at this through progressive visual processing activities to the point where people think it's like a sixth sense. Same with hand-to-eye coordination, almost anyone is great at this. If you think you have bad hand-to-eye coordination, learn how to juggle 5 balls and I bet you won't anymore. Pull-ups. Start by jumping up and slowly lowering yourself down. Do this enough and you can do 1 pull-up. Do 1 and you can do 1 tomorrow, and therefore do more than 1 in less than a week if you keep at it. Butterfly knife flipping. Not all the tricks sure, but 90% of the time, the trick you see people do in the movies is the easiest thing to learn and takes maybe an hour or so of practice. It looks cool, it's low risk, a lot of tricks involve the sharp edge a lot more and are more risky, and it's easy peasy. Extremely basic plumbing. I'm fairly handy and frequently help family and select friends. I never receive more gratitude than when I fix an issue with water. Outside of pest issues, nothing makes people more nervous. Those spot the difference games, there's clips of kids doing it absurdly fast which makes one think of savant syndrome. It's really just a cross-eye trick. Once you learn it, it takes no effort at all, no matter how complex the image. Cracking an egg with one hand. It's unnecessary and doesn't help with literally anything, but the moment you do it in front of someone they are amazed. 95% of computer problems the average person has can be solved with general IT literacy skills you can learn in a couple months at most. Geek Squad is a scam and you can fix your own machines. I believe in you. Conversational literacy. You can make people like you very easily by using free association wordplay while being friendly and asking pointed questions about their interests or experiences. I am constantly told I make a great first impression, and I just say canned jokes and loose references to the stories people tell or what they talk about and how they do it. The biggest skill, I guess, is active listening. Nod, respond with the correct emotional facial reaction, ask follow-up questions, and attempt to be funny. Attempt is an operative word in this context. It doesn't matter if you're funny. It matters if they can tell you are trying to be funny. Friendliness and genuine interest are the only magic tricks. Basic first aid, apply pressure to blood till it stops. If it so doesn't, apply tourniquet. Don't forget the windlass, the stick. CPR is to the best of the Imperial March, Darth Vader's song. For adults, don't give mouth to someone you don't know. It's gross and does not improve survival rates very much. Put your whole body weight into it. If you're doing CPR, you're not going to kill them more than their heart stopping will break that sternum. Tada, you just saved someone's life. Opening a bottle with anything that you can get leverage on. Whatever object you have, stick under the cap and grab the neck of the bottle with the object in between the cap and your thumb, hold tight on the bottle and just push down on the object. Becoming fluent in any second language is easy. Don't base your study of the language on memory. If you synonymize the foreign words to words you already know in your native language, you bypass the need to think so much about which words to use. From there, once you grasp sentence structure, you can pretty much speak fluently without problem. Any words you don't know become easy to ask for their meaning and to incorporate into your speech. Singing. People always treat me like I have some magical natural-born skill because I can sing. But unless you're literally tone deaf, everything else can be taught. The hardest part for most people seems to be breath control, but if you can do cardio, you can get the breath control down. Just think of singing like a sport. Gotta use your gym lungs for belting. Landing a plane. Took me a day in Microsoft Flight Sim. If your pilot gets incapacitated for whatever reason, you can save the day.